Well, you've heard the Democrats crying that we need some safety around our schools. However, let me tell you a fun story about how they actually voted against it just in the past month. All right, so if you haven't heard, the state reps all met on the Hill this week, and there was a little bit of an issue. Check this out.
No action, no peace. No action, no peace. No action, no peace. No action, no peace.
That's right. Representative Pearson, Jones, and Johnson all rushed the well during the proceedings for the House this past week, trying to incite, some chaos, because that seems to be what the Democrats are good at doing more than anything else. So these three, we're going to get more into in a second, but let's talk about what happened just a month ago, because this is very important to understand what's happening right now in our government and what's going on with agendas. Senate Bill 0315, if you want to look it up, I'll read it for you. I'm going to read it from my phone to make sure I don't get anything wrong here, because it's very important we have correct information, right? Oh, if only the news felt the same way. All right. Schools, private, as introduced, authorizes a private school and a local government to execute a contract or memorandum of understanding to allow the law enforcement agency of the local government to provide school resource officers to the private school. This amends TCA Title 5, Title 6, Title 7, Title 9, Title 38, and Title 49. In layman's terms, this allows private schools to hire an SRO. There is no cost to the public. The cost is to the private school. They are in charge of the insurance. They are in charge of paying for the time spent there. They are in charge of all that. So there is no cost to the public on this. This is a just absolutely no-brainer for a bill, we would think. You would think that this would pass unanimously, but a couple of Democrats have shown otherwise. In fact, 7 Democrats, specifically 3 Democrats, who rushed the well yesterday, talking about how they wanted to protect kids in school. But do they really? It seems like what they really want is there to be chaos so they can continue to have some type of weird platform to stand on because they don't really care about kids. That's what I'm going to go ahead and stand by, and that's what seems like what's happening. Because when this went up for vote, there was Representative Pearson, who was only sworn in like a week ago on March 27th. Maybe on his way out soon, hopefully. But let's go ahead and check out his response to when the bill was brought up for the final reading.
Probably come to you to see the amendment because I believe that is really important, that the public doesn't end up paying for a potential failure at one of these private schools. And I reaffirm that I'm against having school resource officers and turning our schools into prisons, that it is important that the culpability doesn't end up on the public when this is a private institution, particularly when these officers are going to be using public dollars and public cars to be at these places.
So you can go watch the whole thing. I'll link that below, and you can see everything he said. But essentially what it boils down to is he doesn't believe that anybody in the public, all this public that paid tax dollars, should be investing or protecting kids that go to private schools. I'm going to say something here that's going to hurt your feelings because it seems like you don't understand the way government works at even the smallest level, Representative Pearson. Even parents whose kids go to private school pay taxes. Their kids have a right to be protected too, no matter where they choose to go to school. So the fact that you believe that, number one, shows just how ignorant you actually are. But let's go ahead and talk about number 2. Number 2, you never could get it through your brain that this, in fact, did not cost the public anything. So all of your complaints about this bill are null and void because they're all ignorant. And I don't mean that to be like I'm throwing names. I mean that is actually ignorant, the dictionary definition of it. So we have this, and 7 different representatives voted no. Let me tell you what they voted no to. They voted no to SB 0315, which states that private schools can hire SROs at no cost to the public in order to protect the children that are there. Now, after the past week, you would think that they would be voting yes, unanimously. Now, granted, this vote happened before then, but it doesn't matter when it happened. At any point, we should always want to protect children. Who are the 7 representatives? That's a good question. I've got it right here. Let me tell you who these are. The first one, Representative Beck, District 51 out of Davidson County. Second, Representative Clemens, 55, Davidson County. Third, Representative Dixie, District 54, Davidson County. Representative Harris, District 91, Shelby County. Representative Johnson, District 13 from Knox County. Representative Jones, 52 from Davidson County. And Representative Pearson, District 86 from Memphis. 7 Democrats said that the kids that are at private schools are not worth being protected. Let that sink in after the past week and what we saw. Now, as if that's not hard enough to stomach, then they decided to rush the well. 3 of them. Democratic Representative Johnson, Jones, and Pearson. Now, this was not received lightly. In fact, let's check out this video of what might be 2 of my new favorite Democrats on the floor because they actually handled some business. Check it out. That was Representative Joe Towns and Leader Camper, both Democrats, both of them from Memphis or from Shelby County, both of them realizing that their buddies on their side of the aisle were acting foolish and didn't deserve to be inside of that room. Snatched them up, yanked them out, took them to the side room and had conversations. Now, what happens next? That's a great question. Let's talk about what expulsion is. It's my favorite thing when people act like idiots, okay? So, number 1, it has to go to a vote. That's going to be Article 2, Section 12 of the Constitution. And it requires a 2/3 majority vote in the House. Right now, it's looking like that's probably going to happen, seeing as though the representatives of the Republican Party have 75, whereas the Democratic out of 99, so the Democratic Party has 24. So, we've got some room to spare. I think there's about 9 there that can vote across the aisle, and they're still going to get expelled, which they should be after this. I don't think they should just be expelled because of rushing the well. Let's talk about why they should be expelled. They should be expelled because they don't actually care about protecting kids' lives. I'm going to guess they don't care about children. I don't know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, but I can't think of any reasons to why you would vote no against putting an SRO inside of a school, especially in the times we live in today. If we want to get real for a second, let's talk about the shooting that happened at Covenant. If there had been an SRO in that school, that SRO, we hope, as long as it's not like a coward from Texas that wasn't part of that shooting that just waited outside while children were murdered. But if there's an SRO that had good training, that did exactly what Metro Nashville Police did, the shooting could have stopped before it started. Because an SRO would have heard gunshots when that person, that little girl, shot through the window and climbed in. He would have ran to that and met her in that hallway, and that would have been the end of that story. And there would be 6 people that'd still be alive today. But for whatever reason, the 7 Democratic representatives that I listed, they don't seem to care that 3 9-year-olds lost their life with multiple gunshot wounds, that 3 adults lost their lives, and that at any moment countless more can happen because we don't have the protection in the schools that we absolutely need. So, do I think they should be expelled? Absolutely. Because if you can honestly get up and vote that you don't think that your kids' lives, that our kids' lives, that my kids' lives, that any kids' lives are worth putting an SRO in a school for to protect, then I cannot support you or anything you believe in any way, because that is the basic foundation of being a decent human being. SB 0315. Look it up. Watch what happened. Do some research for yourself. I'd love to know what you think. Go ahead and drop your comments down below. I love you guys. Talk to you next time. Oh yeah, and the 3 representatives that stormed the well and the 7 that voted no to protecting our children, yeah, screw y'all.